Now it is time to take longer strides. Time for a great new American enterprise. Time for this nation to take a clearly leading role in space achievement, which in many ways may hold the key to our future on Earth.
I want to talk about working with Damien Chazelle. This movie really accomplishes something so gigantic and overwhelming technically, but something so intimate and meaningful at all other times. How does that translate for you guys?
I think that you're exactly right about what you're saying, because it is a special quality of Damien's, I think, in that he's able to work at these, on a very large scale, and at the same time he still is able to keep like the working environment very just creative and personal. And I think it's reflected in his movies as part of what makes him special.
I don't know how Ryan did it, to be honest, because I thought we were shooting one film, which was like a small, intimate, domestic number. And then when I watched the film, I was like, he kept that secret, and just went off and went to space, and handled it all very incredibly heroically. But yeah, I don't know how either of you did that. You kept the technical and the emotional and personal, and did them both at the same time in conjunction with one another.
What are the chances you're not coming back?
4.
Those kids, they don't have a father anymore.
3.
So you're gonna sit the boys down?
2.
And you're gonna prepare them for the fact you might not ever come home.
1.
We got Whiplash, La La Land, now we've got this. Do you believe that every movie you make has to be harder than the last one?
I don't know if it has to be, but certainly I guess that has been the case so far. This was the hardest thing I've done yet. But I don't know, when you're making a movie about the moon landing, it's nothing's ever going to be as hard as that. So you always feel like, you get to benefit from the hard work those people did. And we were just lucky to be able to tell that story.
Do you think that there's anything in those other two particular movies that really that taught you things that you used in this one?
Well, I think on the one hand there's a thematic kind of similarity, something I've always been interested in, which is just what the cost of a goal is. Trying to pursue a dream, what the implications of that can be on the people who pursue it. Certainly applies to this story in a very large-scale way.
The vehicle's not safe.
We need to fail. We need to fail down here so we don't fail up there.
The detail in this movie is outrageous, almost like a documentary. Was there anything that felt just really fun and freewheeling to you, like on the opposite end of the spectrum, where you could just kind of let all that go and just be in the moment?
Yeah, actually, like all your stuff is very specific, and there's actual footage of those events and everything.
Yeah.
And all of my stuff, nearly entirely, like there was so little footage of Elliot C., the astronaut that I play in the movie, that it was kind of like I had that to know, and then all of the stuff we were doing was like interpersonal stuff. It was all character development, and these scenes where it actually was the opposite of that. It was total freeform. There were no marks. They wouldn't explain what shots were happening. It would just sort of be like, all of a sudden the camera would be really close on you, and you'd be doing your thing, and then the camera would just be like in the middle of your line, just off and go film somebody else, and then Damien would encourage like non-linear performance, like if you want to just say this line and then go get a beer from the fridge inside, like do it, because by the way, also everybody inside the house is doing the scene at the same time. Like it was crazy.
Like anything that was historically like accurate that you can actually look up and see, we would copy the exact movements, but everything else was much more free form. It was interesting though, because I just you're very alone. You can't really hear anyone. You have like an ear thing in, so you can hear when they talk to you. But all you hear is kind of the hiss of the air coming into your helmet. You got itches all over that you can't scratch, and you're just breathing, and you're like, and you have the panel of the command module is like right here in your phone. That thing is small. You are stuffed into this little teeny tin can. It's pretty crazy. And we were in there for hours and hours and hours, and you're strapped in, so you can't really move. It was fun though, because I just kind of thought of what they were feeling, like what it felt like to actually, like this is as close as it gets. I can see, as we're taking off, there's this massive LED screen. I can see us passing the clouds and going into space, and I'm strapped in and I'm like in it's like an incredible experience.
Here we go.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Do you question whether the program's worth the cost in money and in lives?
You're down here and you look up and you don't think about it too much, but space exploration changes your perception.
How did the two of you work together on set to create that kind of symmetry that for the shots would have come from the book, right? For you guys, that was coming from just personal experience and talking.
So we weren't on set together, but because I played Bonnie's mother, she was sort of my guide in creating the character. And I went down to Dallas and we met and we had brunch, and Bonnie brought lots of pictures like these and stories and just those little details about a family and the dynamic that I and then Jason used to bring the characters to life.
Your character was crafted almost through the eyes of Janet's children in real life. And they're two of the most interesting people involved in this whole thing. And what was that like for you?
They were the people that I was most, and I think Ryan was as well, anxious to make sure approved of what we were doing, and never wanted to feel like I was some sort of like probe trying to find out about their childhood, because it's precious, and I knew it was, and I wanted to keep it that way. So it was just very important to me that they recognised their parents when they saw them on screen.
I mean, her performance is, I'm out of superlatives to describe it. It was just so spot on. Felt like I was watching my mom up there. I mean, there's so many things he did are exactly what I think mom would have done in the same situation. So,
she blew us away. I mean,
she's amazing.
Phenomenal. And so good at nonverbal communication. I mean, she's just really impressive performance.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
I hear that the great Damien Chazelle has sort of a Bible for this movie. It's one of the things that contributed to exactly how technically amazing and touching it is all at the same time. Is that the case, that he had this kind on set?
I never saw an actual Damien Chazelle Bible.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But I definitely got films to watch and documentaries to watch.
Sure.
And things to look at and listen to, which you don't often get, which was just amazing. And gave an idea about what kind of was going to happen when we started shooting it.
That's actually in step with what I've heard, because I also hear he kept it secret sometimes. Like, it was hard to kind of even get a peek at it. What about you? Did you see it ever?
I read about this in the press notes. as did you, I think. Anything you learn, I'm ravenous for details.
It was about a 300-page document for all departments to be on the same page about how everything was meant to look and feel and to be shot. It was a work of art in and of itself.
Whenever I would try to see what was written, it was like he would hide it from me.
Secrecy.
And when he opened it, it glowed. His face would light up.
It was like transcendence. He would be like stuck, and then he'd open it and be like, I know what we're doing. I know what to do.
We were pulling pictures and diagrams from the actual crafts so that he would have visuals so that he could then communicate that, because he was so focused on accuracy, as was I, and he wanted to be able to communicate that to all the department heads, right? Whether it was Nathan, building, these crafts, to Mary, on wardrobe, and we got very specific. And Jim must have been going nuts during this period, because I kept calling him with questions, because oftentimes Damien would ask questions I wouldn't know, right? I mean, my research, didn't go, and sometimes Jim wouldn't know, and so Jim would refer us to this one or that one, and to try to get even more specific. But yeah, it was a humongous document by the end, and it was sort of a reference book, I think, for him and for other department heads throughout the process.
I'm sitting here as a historian, very envious of the future biographer who's going to be able to write Damien's life story, because the source materials, I mean, you got to make sure
Yeah.
that this book and on the book for La La Land and Whiplash,
Yeah.
all those books have been saved.
Yeah.
Because they're, I mean, I'm thinking, oh, these are, we got to get these, make sure they're preserved, because historians of film are going to want to know how Damien made his movies.
Totally.
And so I'm going to have to live a lot longer than I had planned, so I can maybe consider getting that book written.
Well, I guess there were two important books in this movie. There was Jim Hansen's book that
Yes.
the movie's based on. That was definitely a Bible for us. I remember then, I mean, there was a few years of just research that we did on this movie before shooting, and I wound up just compiling all that research and all the images that inspired me into, a kind of booklet that just started to grow and grow and grow until it became very unwieldy, but did become, I guess, another second kind of Bible. But even that scratched the surface. I mean, that's the thing with the subject matter, is no matter how much you learn, you're just aware of how much you still have to learn. It's endless. So it was part of the fun, but also part of the challenge of the movie, for sure.
Did it get a special nickname that had anything to do with the baby goose?
The baby goose.
Ryan Gosling.
Yes, the
Yeah.
baby goose. That's actually how I refer to him, too, yeah.
I can tell.
It took a moment. Yeah, we called it The Notebook. Yes.
I just needed you to say it.
It definitely warrants that reaction.
We have serious problems. We've got this under control.
You're a bunch of boys. You don't have anything under control.
I love any time that we acknowledge the families behind the astronauts that kind of get all the glory, because it really is a whole thing, like for everyone involved. Is there one story that really stands out?
Fair story. The kind of fair
Yeah,
story.
I mean, there was the time that my dad ended up, we had special passes to go to the front of the line at I guess, one of the World's Fairs or something, and my dad noticed that there was a little crippled child that wasn't going to get to go see. It's a Small World when it first opened up way back in the day, and he went and left us and went and carried the little crippled child through the ride, and it was just, just how he was. And I think when he went up into space, he also took 3 medals, and one was a St. Christopher, one was a cross, and one was a Star of David. And he was thinking about kind of world unity and world peace, everybody getting along, and just something that we're all striving still to do to this day.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.